Yung si Hubert?
3. Wala pa si Hubert? Ako, nag-record na ako.
Oh, yun. Si
Okay.
Hubert, yun na. Smiling
Okay.
na.
Ready? Rolling na yan. 3, 2, 1, go.
So, yun. Thank you mga kuya, mga kuys on your inputs about the marketing. So, to all, the topic that we discussed is very interesting, and hopefully this will not be a political issue to others. This is only based on our perspective, on our understanding, on how we look at these things. So, any parting words? Or
Pero pag may gustong, may violent reaction, you know where Anthony lives.
Saka, if they have a problem, just check out our bikini Arnisadora.
Oh, yun ang kulang.
It's coming pretty soon.
Meron? Ayun pa.
Alright.
Alright.
So, we're done on all the topics that we discussed. So, baka meron kayong ibang topics that we like to
Actually,
talk about.
there's some things I wanna kind of ask the group. Just things that we haven't touched on. Actually, first before we go into my questions, I wanna ask Karating Grahe question. Can you share with Jun and Paul Show what is your most memorable interview? Or yes, let's go with that. Maybe 2 or 3 of your most memorable interviews that comes to mind. Nako.
Sige.
Teka lang. Let me put a disclaimer kasi I know the interview with Kuya Paul was probably going to be placed up there. So let me put a disclaimer because I don't want to go to that. Let's cut that out.
Cut that out.
Cut that out. That is not counted. Let's go through now you have to think back. Oh, 3, 2, 1, answer.
Ako, dalawa.
Okay.
Si GM Tongson at saka si Maestro Doy.
Oh,
Not
wow.
because walang kinalaman sa technique, walang kinalaman sa away. It is yung doon ko nakita yung sorry, I'm talking in Tagalog. But, with Maestro Doy and
Actually,
GM
no,
Tongson.
you know what? Excuse me, let me time out because let's actually share it in English if you may.
Yun na nga.
Because we've been consistent with the whole process right now in English.
Yeah,
I want to make sure everybody stays.
Pardon me. I forgot because you asked the question, I reverted to my Filipino language. Because I've always been looking for the what I call I'm looking for my Filipino soul. I live here but I'm looking for what is good about us Filipinos. You know, the values. Especially the martial values that are not written. I saw it in both, and it was actually told to me by GM Rene, and I saw it in my Maestro Doy. In fact, there are many things that GM Rene told me out of camera because I don't know if it's traditional. There are certain things that you really don't know.
Oh, my off screen pala.
You know, things that what you call this. Sometimes I don't know if I make myself a fool in the FMA world because my comments are normally about my angst is actually trying to promote the old values, and I'm trying to live by it as much as I can. But then I point out to these two people because they're not figments of my imagination.
Okay.
They live the culture.
Huh. Interesting. And what about you, Mr. Henry?
Well,
Mr. Henry the Pogi?
let me put it this way. When we did Karating Garahe, actually, when we went into FMA, we actually wanted to promote the good values of Filipino martial art. Because like any culture, any culture has bad values and good values. So all our guests are already pre-qualified. Meaning we do not actually interview people that we find dubious or we feel are promoting something that's already out there, meaning it's a given eh. We have this crab mentality, we always fight, we try to stay clear away from that. For one thing, we are not FMAers. So we cannot go into what they call this topics that are hotly debated on. We can only promote if, for example, if we're talking about Lapunti, we're only interviewing someone from Lapunti and we're only talking about Lapunti. And when we're talking to Paete Arnis, it's just we're talking about Paete Arnis, that's it. But all our guests are already pre-qualified eh. So we already like them in the first place.
Yeah, so but you only have two choices to pick of your favorite interviews. Are you telling me?
Ang hirap ng to, ako eh.
No,
parang pag-girlfriend.
no,
Gusto ko lahat eh. Okay, let me think.
It's the first two that comes to your mind right now, not necessarily,
Ako, same kay Hubert pagdating sa FMA. But let me just add na in terms of karate kay Sherlock Andres because it's kind of two different topics altogether. Di ba? The FMA world and karate world. Yung kay Doc Sherlock, it's because there are things that we researched on and finally we had someone to check out if it was true. Pero in terms of FMA, ang hirap eh kasi yes si Doc at saka si but I also like that guy sa Lapunti.
I'm not looking for explanation. I'm just looking for interviews. It doesn't have to be a person. It's just a memorable interview. The interview itself.
Yeah. Same with Hubert.
Okay,
same with Hubert.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a little confession. I actually didn't watch any of those interviews. So, actually, I haven't watched the interviews.
It's
but
okay.
Now you guys have me curious.
Yeah.
And maybe, can you guys maybe send me the link or
Sure.
repost it,
Sure.
tag me,
Sure.
or tag me to where it is.
Yeah.
To see those interviews.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but so that was my one question. The other question, I'm just kind of curious, because you guys are coming into the FMA scene, kind of seeing the landscape and really being involved in a lot of discussions. What is it about FMA that got you interested, or what did you like about the FMA space that you decided to kind of get involved or be active within it?
Hubert, ikaw muna?
Two things, no? One, the technical aspect. Because I discovered when I was doing karate hand-to-hand, if I play the way the Japanese play, the way they teach, I will I'm not I have a limitation. Meaning to say, if I fight them the way they fight, I realize that when I try to win, something comes out of me, techniques come out of me, and then the mindset, the pattern is what I would call. I realize the principle is FMA.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it. It's if you take a look at my movement, it's not strictly Shotokan anymore. And I've been informed by the osmosis with FMA, even though I don't do sticks. My movements are
still
FMA oriented. Yeah.
Okay.
Now on the philosophical side, I realize that as much as I understand the Japanese and respect them, I am not a Japanese. I can never, I feel fake when I do I understand the culture, but that's not my culture.
Okay.
So, but when I take a look at FMA, both the good and the bad, but more so on the values that I'm trying to look for, I realized that, remember my background, I came from security and risk management.
Yeah.
I was in anti-crime operations. So my mindset ever since was never sport. When it comes to the way I think, not the technique, the way I think when I take a look at old masters, the algorithm of how they, hard to say, they don't teach this in English, yung dugas, diskarte. 'Di ba? At saka yung sense of whether rightly or wrongly yung alam mo yung code of honor. Yung ano I am very much Filipino, meaning to say I notice I try not to insult anybody in the internet, number one. Number two, I don't challenge any. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying I subscribe to that because I've met old people like that.
Yep.
I don't call on anybody if I don't like, if I have my own argument. I don't call on anybody to agree with me. If I have an argument with a certain person, I will go to that person. That's a matter of honor. If I cannot see you in person, why would I say anything bad about you? But if you meet me, diba? And yung how do you say it? In Tagalog you say, paano mo buuin yung loob mo? How do you cook your inside? There's certain things that I appreciate with the old people, they don't talk about it. And my dad was trying to tell me, I finally realized it, Henry was talking about it. It's like there's something inside that you have, winning or losing has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
If you do certain things, it weakens you inside.
Yeah.
So those are the things that are, those are the things about FMA that resonate deeply in me. It's not the external technique, it's the internal thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr.
So,
Henry.
yeah, for me it's the same because I'm not an FMAer. I never claimed to be an FMAer. But it's part of our culture. So I'm trying to rediscover what it is to be a Filipino. So that's why I would rather go like I don't I don't think it's wrong that for example in the States they develop their own Arnis style and it might be more effective. But I'm not after that. What I'm after is I'm trying to rediscover our history. And when I'm saying our history, the difference between me and Hubert is I want to discover actual history, right or wrong.
Okay.
Meaning I want to understand what really happened. And it takes an outsider sometimes because I notice Filipinos are still tribal. I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to, as a Filipino, okay, it happened, let me backtrack ng konti. It's like when we were in college, we met people from different fraternities. And then they're always fighting each other. But how come this guy is Taugama? He's my friend. We're good friends. And this other guy is for example, Apo or Upsilon or whatever, and we're good friends. How come they're fighting? That's how we see FMA. We see good techniques or good ang tawag dito, good people from, for example, this style and good people from this style, but somehow sometimes it's hard for them to mix. Yun yung ano we're trying to look for a common thing among FMAers so that as Filipinos we can enjoy each other's company.
Let me just correct Henry. Let me just correct Henry. I know the bad side of the Filipino. I also have it in me.
I think we all do.
Yeah, I accept it. Actually, it's you'll notice that not to raise my bench, pero I find it proud that when I'm wrong, I say it. I apologize.
Yeah.
Why? Because I realize that how can I be mad with these people when I used to be like them?
Yeah.
Okay, now why do I accept it? Why do I don't insult? I don't want to be insulted, so why would I insult?
Okay.
So going back, what I'm saying is, it's a search for the soul. I'm saying we all know what's bad about the Filipino. You ask any Filipino, and we're washing. Sorry, I'm very about this. I'm wondering about FMA why we wash dirty linen in front of foreigners.
Okay.
It's not their fault that they don't understand our culture.
Yeah.
You get why. You guys know you're from the US. It's not their fault that they don't understand our culture. But then what's troubling is we know what's bad about us. Have you guys been to the why do we like Paete and Anthony and you can see the real good culture. Now you ask younger generation, you ask them, what are the values of the Filipinos? They don't know.
Yeah.
All we show others are our bad culture. But yung pakikisama, pakikitungo, pakikiisa,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I hear you. I hear you. No, those good, great points. But I want to go circle back to what it was a particular word that Henry mentioned, which was connecting back to history.
Mm.
Now, going back to history and touching on that, there's been a lot of discussions about if it's not in history or if it's not recorded or cannot find it, it's not really part of history, or is it really legit or legitimate? Um, because they can't find the lineage. I mean, like let's just say, for example, um, well, whatever discussions that there were, but given that a lot of our history books were destroyed and a lot of our history was just kind of destroyed altogether through the wars, I would credit some of our lost history within those times. But then, could it be potentially that there's still some truth about what is being said out there, even though it's not in the books, in the history books? This is open up for everybody now.
Can I start? Can I start with that? That's true. Oral history naman, even in some cultures, are accepted. But there's a certain process involved. We're not historians, but
Right.
I think there should be a certain process involved. I mean, myth making is a part of all cultures. Even the Chinese do it, even the Japanese do it, even the Koreans do it, and they change their quote unquote official history. But ako, I'm not a historian, but I'm a political scientist. I mean, I took up poli-sci. There are certain methods involved if you want to find for the truth. And I'm just saying historical truth. I'm not talking about validity of technique.
Yeah.
There's really a certain due process involved. And it's all right to say that we don't know. It's all right. But
Well,
if you're going to say something and then it just came out during 1980s and you can trace it back, there should be a way to, because as a documentarist, there's certain disciplines involved. So so for me, it's just due process. You have to do due process. Now,
You did.
I can do diligence. Sorry, I can actually accept that in this town they think that, or this person said that he thinks that this thing exists, or it's all right as long as it's okay for me to say that actually there are no historical evidence regarding that. That's my attitude, because remember, I'm trying to do a documentary, a proper documentary. I'm not trying to do National Geographic, National Geographic or Discovery Channel, History Channel, so-called documentaries, which aren't documentaries at all. Yeah.
I'm curious also what Jun is saying. I don't.
yeah,
I'll talk. I'm not saying this is historically true, but there is an element, and this is beyond FMA. When you go out talking to yung matatanda, there are certain things talaga that they really will not talk about. Yung baliktad eh. They're open to me when we see each other, we talk direct. How shall you say this? Things that are understood by those who know.
yeah.
Even if you don't know the guy, like you just met him right away, you already know that you're talking on the same thing. But then you're gonna realize, diba, it's a fool's errand before I was writing about it. A lot of old timers PM'd me. They say, that's a good thing you're looking for, but nobody who really knows will talk to you in public about it. So going back to your question, are there certain things that are unwritten? You have to realize that the reason why we survived, we were oppressed, right? The only yung mga bagani, remember, it's also true, the bad side is, we are a nation of collaborators. So, if you take a look at if you go to the province, there are old families that still believe in the old things. If you tell them that you nanumpa ka sa kartilya. If you talk to them, you think they're Christian and they're Catholic, suddenly you realize that they have a different view of the world. And then you realize that's where the technique comes from.
Yeah.
Anyway, yun lang. That's what I'm saying. There's a certain element that is not, and sometimes they obfuscate. Is that the term? When they talk about it, they'll talk about something else. But actually, in reality, they don't really want to share because bawal eh. You don't talk about.
I think. Go ahead.
One of the big questions, or I guess that's been in debate, was this whole Kali, word, for example, and the roots and the history and stuff and whatnot, and people can only, say it's something that's not.
Let's not go there.
No.
I've.
But I mean, I'm not necessarily talking about that, but within that, not talking about the Kali thing. I'm just talking about the whole concept of the idea.
Because Go ahead.
Let me climb up to the surface a little bit because I think we're getting deep on this thing.
Yeah.
Growing up, hopefully you guys will kind of understand what I'm saying. We're tribal, right?
Right.
A town next door, which is only about 2 miles, it's actually a long time ago, will take us probably 4 or 5 hours to get to our neighbor. This is reality, because when I was growing up in Batangas, sometimes it's like that.
You walk.
You have to walk, right?
Yep.
So let's just say I am neighbors with Henry, and our family had a fight. We call it ubusan ng lahi, right? I'm going to develop an art designed to just fight Henry's family. It has nothing to do to fight the rest of the world. This is what people don't understand. FMA, my art, let's say it's my art now, my family art, dated 1200, is designed to fight Henry's family.
In context.
1200.
It's context.
Context.
And Henry, at the other hand, their family is doing another style designed to annihilate my family. And now we're now in the new world, and they think my art will be able to fight Jun Elisio's art. There's no way, because my art is only designed for Henry. And that's why I think the big debate of history. There's no history that you'll find, but there will be history about family fighting another art, tribes versus tribe, which is not documented. And I think most of this technique is designed to specifically fight one art. And then one last thing. In Tagalog, we say it, pag may gera tayo sa ibang bansa, doon tayo nagkakaisa. Kung walang gera, saan tayo magpa-practice? Girahin natin yung kapitbahay natin because that's the only way we're gonna learn.
I think
that's, let me, almost done. And I think that's the reason why a lot of this FMA style versus style, good or bad, they try to fight because there's no really a battle that will unite everybody. But I tell you what, if we fight, we go to a competition, let's just say the old 1980s, FMA versus, let's just say, karate or aikido, let's just say, I'm not saying, okay? I think FMA will unite.
Yeah.
And then they will fight.
Yeah,
but without that fight, FMA will fight each other. It's our way of being Filipino.
Enemy is my friend.
Can I just clarify things? Kasi most of the time in forums, people have different agendas, and what comes out is people are fighting. Actually, they're not actually discussing. They're actually trying to prove a narrative. So this is not. This is actually it's more obvious for us Filipinos, but this is not uncommon.
Yes.
This is also common in other martial arts, but they have a certain system of hiding it from the public. They actually fight, but it's hidden from the public. Whereas us Filipinos, it's out in the open. But let me just clarify things para lang people will understand where each person is coming from. Let's start from the States because you are PhilAms, di ba? So, it's understandable that you're looking for, like us, kami nga here, we're already in Manila, we're still looking for our culture, our history. And it's understandable that as PhilAms, you're looking for your own culture. So that's understandable. So it's also understandable, for example, for Inosanto to talk to old timers and then to listen to what they say. And we're always pointing out what was wrong. What we're not pointing out that 80 to 90% of what he said is true. Get it? Meaning that's the information he got and almost all of it is true. Now, what happens is it doesn't matter if you're Phil-Am or Filipino, when you start trying to promote your culture, and this happens to other cultures also, it's a totally different thing if you're a historian. It's a totally different thing if you're trying to, you want pride for your mind somehow shifts. And diba, when we're talking, for example, if you're talking to me and if you notice that I take everything you say hook, line, and sinker, automatically you're going to reach to your imagination and you're going to try to, even if it's not proven, you're going to invent certain things. That's normal for everybody. That's normal for 98% of the population.
But
So,
that's Mr.
yeah, so that's the context we're talking about right now. But when we're already talking about history, there are certain things. The problem with Filipino historians, if you look at our historical books, you read our historical books, a lot of it, if you look at the tone, everything about Filipinos are so good. So instead of just saying this is what happened, everything has to have an adjective, an adverb. And then you try to look for the sources, it's limited. But in reality, yes, of course, we have an excuse that we had foreigners trying to erase our history. But we've been independent for more than, 100 years already? How many years? 90? No, 90. Yeah, more than 100 years. So there are certain disciplines that we should do. And there are Filipinos that are doing it in the academe, like Botocano, and there are PhilAms like si Hundis, who actually go out and try to learn the real history. We should be listening to them. Of course, they will make mistakes. Along the way, they will make mistakes. It's just that, siguro hindi na-explain nung this source didn't explain it properly. So, what I'm saying is we should have due diligence. Let me go back to that Kali debate. No. This is just my opinion. So, this is just
All right, go ahead.
this is just my opinion.
That was a bad example.
No, this is the heart of the problem. Okay. People keep fighting about it. But now, before I thought it was okay, it was just all hogwash. Because I said there were no records because people don't really use it here in the Philippines. Now, someone took out actual literature that said that, yes, it was actually used in this province or Tagalog. But the reality is we have several languages. We have 1,000 dialects. And most probably, the person who told Inosanto, who's that really believed that Kali was the term they used in their style before. But in reality, if you go to other provinces, they never heard of Kali. So the truth must be in the middle. That Kali was used, but it was not the mother art.
You're going into a space that I really didn't want to get into.
Yeah.
You're dipping into a space.
Okay, let's just cut that.
Let's go back to my first question, which was just, if it's not recorded, does it make it false?
Of course
Yes,
not.
no, of course not.
Philippine history, when knowing that some of our history has been
it's not an either or.
You wanna jump in?
Jun, Jun,
It's neither
to answer that,
false nor true.
of course, the question being, di ba, if it's not written,
Yeah.
is it false or
Yeah.
true?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you an example, no? Prime example. Somebody, never taught me his art because he was hiding it. He'll never show a technique. Pero many things that I learned from him. I noticed him, si Ellie, yung guard. We had a guard here really small. Through the years, he never said that he knew FMA. He never said that he was a manggagamot. I kept pestering him because I noticed that he always caught robbers here in our village. He's a really small guy. He's just alone. The village is so large. You don't know how, first of all, you don't know how he found out that a robber was going to be somewhere. Because we have, he's just one guard in the whole village. Essentially a gatekeeper. Okay. Then you're going to notice that this small guy beat up this really big, anong tawag dito, akit-bahay. So, to make a long story short, to answer your question, and people might not believe this is what he told me. He's always smiling. He said, when I finally got his confidence, he said, Hubert, in our style, the first thing we teach is how to win, how do you win moving slowly. So how do you do that? You always smile. Because if you smile, you don't get his energy up. You're really near. Then you can stab him slowly.
Talk about kill him with kindness or something.
No, and I noticed him. He told me so many things of that nature. Now I'm thinking, okay, how do we describe this now? Is this a technique? But it's not a technique. Many things he's explaining. In Mindanao, he was saying there are a lot of things like that. So they're not written.
Yeah. Can I answer lang yung...
Or is it true or not true?
Can I answer lang yung kay Jun? Or how do you know? Definitely you don't know if it's... Yeah. It doesn't automatically mean that it's not true. It also doesn't automatically mean that it's true. So what do you do?
It's hard to prove.
If there's no record, what do you do? Is there such thing as normative culture? So it's still surviving. So what do? You go to the actual place. Kasi what happens is sometimes, as Filipinos who actually live here, when we hear something, we had no experience. Some people are historians. We've never heard about it. And then I would think that you have to go to the source to find out if it's true. Because even if there are no public records, somewhere, somehow, if you go to the source, you can find evidences. And it's malleable because truth is, sometimes it's malleable. It's not even the Bible wasn't final up till 300 years ago.
Well,
so,
speaking of the Bible, I mean, we know who the the three kings. The three kings, what are their names?
Balthazar, Malthus.
Yeah, and Jasper. Yeah, Balthazar, Jasper, and yeah. But I still, this is unverified by me, so but it recently was kind of pointed out to me because it's one assumption. But apparently they say that the actual names weren't really, actually written.
Yeah.
We're going on a different...
So anyway, to answer lang, to answer the question,
But that comes to is like there's a written history and oral history. Unfortunately, the one is a little bit more challenging.
At saka alive kasi yan eh. For example, yung culture. For example, there in the States, you're already creating your own culture. Kuha mo? It's a Filipino culture.
Again, that was just
Yeah.
Way too deep.
Yeah.
Deeper than I thought it would be.
Yeah, but it's a nice...
Mr. Tony.
Yeah.
Mr. Tony is ang tahimik dyan.
Yeah.
In regards to that, I think it's better to be silent.
Kasi remember, Jun, there are oral traditions from different towns
Oral traditions naman talaga.
Yeah, and
Actually, we were taught that during school. I mean, I remember when I was still in grade school,
Everybody,
there's oral history that they taught us. I mean, it's part of our culture.
And even oral traditions, for example, the Jews, it's based on certain events, but it's already what do you call this? It's like in today's politicians, whoever writes the history. So it might be based on something, but because they have a political agenda or something, it can change. So it's very tricky. So it's a matter for historians to debate about. Ang problem is some people, they're not historians, they just plucked it out from their whatever. So, yeah, for me, I would listen to you as a martial artist, but if you're not a historian and you're not living in that normative culture, for example, si Anthony, we can ask because he lives in Paete and the culture is still alive. The oral is still alive. But if I hear someone from the US, say something about something from Paete, and then it cannot be confirmed by people from Paete themselves,
then that's what
that's kind of problematic. Di ba? Like, because we hear foreigners actually, kulang na lang sabihin na, you don't know your own history.
Yeah. But we got 2.5 minutes left, or 3 minutes.
So, but did I answer your question?
Mr. Tony,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and wrap it up because I think
So, guys, thank you very much to the and to all the viewers. Hope you take this
And I
interview.
have questions.
Oh, you have a question? Fire! You got 2.5 minutes.
Okay, 2.5 minutes. Question. One technique that you think is going to work out in the street, just one.
Alam mo, sa totoo lang. Ay, sige.
Strike number 1.
Ako, one technique.
One technique. You can't repeat it.
Cross
You need to avoid
to the face.
Possible. You need to avoid.
Hand to hand. Oh,
It doesn't matter. One technique.
Suplex.
Suplex. Okay, Anthony.
Wala pa akong maisip, pre.
June.
Cross to the face. Just punch to the face.
Yes.
Time and time
Soccer
again.
punch.
Hubert.
Soccer punch.
Soccer
punch.
Ikaw,
Soccer
ano?
punch.
I got my pogey friends. I'm safe.
I have Anthony. I have Anthony.
Anthony is there. Hindi makasagot. All right.
Anthony, technique. Hurry. 2 minutes.
1 minute.
Kick to the groin, my friend.
Kick to the groin. Yes.
Walang nagsayochi.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Pero ako sa
Awesome chat. Awesome discussion.
Hey, great chat.
Great.
We went on a deep end, which a little bit, pero we pulled ourselves out.
Thank you.
Sabi ko, mga walang, these guys gonna get us in trouble.
kayo yun nandyan kaya kami okay magsalita. Wala naman kami, wala kami dyan.
We're just worried about all the the bunny holes, the rabbit holes.
We can cut it out. If you wanna cut it out, cut it out.
Okay.
Great talking to everybody. Everybody, have a good night.
Good night. Bye.
All the GMs that we mentioned, salamat. We were not trying to make trouble.
Sige.
Good night, guys.
Night.